So Sarah, you had questions on crypto?
Yeah, I just wanted you guys to explain it a little bit more, and I wanted you to explain it how BJ explains the Vegan World 2026, Dr. Rao's white paper, how she explains it to like a first grader. She's a teacher, like a first or kindergarten teacher. So I'm thinking if you give me the kindergarten version of it, and I can explain it to people also that don't get it and don't even believe that we're, because like my friend was just complaining to me, oh, I bought Bitcoin, but I lost $80,000. And I was like, what? So I'm just trying to figure out what is going on, because most of my retirement, which I don't even plan on getting it to that point, I've never thought we were going to get past a certain point with the climate, the way I've always predicted, like I would never live past a certain time. Just personally, I think that we are going to be done with in about 5 years. And I'm just fine with that, actually. I really hope that's actually the case personally. But my question is, like, people like me that are regular people that are vegan, but that's it. We're vegan, but we don't know about financial stuff because we just don't. That's just never been what we're interested in. But we do need to know what's going on so we can make decisions, because I think people are just, like I said, they're going to get blindsided completely when they are not. There's most places here don't even take cash. They do not take cash. You have to pay with a debit card. So if you don't have a bank account, so that's why a lot of people, I think what you're saying is going to this universal Bitcoin type thing. I thought that we already had that in the vegan world called vegan coin and or Aquarius. So are you familiar with Aquarius?
Well, let me give you the preschool answer first, because again, like once we start talking about vegan coin and Aquarius, then the conversation starts getting much more complex. It is a complex conversation, but to try to make it easy for people to understand, one way I say it is that we were all around when the internet emerged. You still hearing me, Sarah?
I'm back. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm taking notes. I'm actually going to take notes. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So one way to explain it is that in a similar way that the internet revolutionized communications, this technology, blockchain, is revolutionizing the way we do the value thing. Okay.
But see, I'm trying to ask you to even simplify it. What does blockchain mean? Why did
let me get to it.
Blockchain come up? Like, where is this term? You know, like www, most people didn't know it means World Wide Web, right? But look, most people don't even know that.
Right. So, I mean, I don't think it's that important to understand that, but I think the word blockchain exists. Like, I mean, already we're getting into complex parts of it. The word blockchain, I think, was actually around before Satoshi Nakamoto invented Bitcoin. I think so. Basically, Satoshi Nakamoto is the person who invented Bitcoin 10 years ago, over 10 years ago. And Christopher knows a bit about this too, but we don't know who that person is. It doesn't matter, but he invented Bitcoin as this way of having a decentralized way of transacting value that we had been speculating on, that people had been speculating on this for decades before this. All these cryptographers and techno internet people were envisioning maybe someday we can have a money that operates on the internet. Okay, so let's go back to my kindergarten explanation. What the internet did to communications, blockchain is doing to human value. Let's just rest on that for a second, because look at before the internet came along, how did we communicate as a human species? We had the telephone, we had mail, we had the library, we had television sets, we had radio. That's pretty much it. you could count the ways that the common person would communicate with another human being on a couple fingers, basically. Now, here we are 20 years, 25 years later, after the internet revolution, and we have thousands of ways that we communicate. What we're doing right now with Zoom and live video would have seemed science fiction then, right? And now it seems normal. So in a similar way, blockchain, like you're saying, yeah, the internet was born off of some very simple technical protocols, like STP and IP addresses, things like this, that allowed for this burgeoning wave of innovation to happen onto the World Wide Web. In a similar way, blockchain is something like a protocol. It's a way of doing something technically that's really eloquent, and it's a much bigger conversation to describe how that works. But because of the way it works, it allows us to still use the network, the internet, but send information that's valuable. Things like money, things like voting, right? Things like legal contracts. Information that really makes a difference if it's lost or manipulated, right? So like with the Federal Reserve, like we currently have a money system that's generally managed by an institution that's not the government. It's a private institution called the Federal Reserve that makes all the decisions of how the money thing happens, not just in the United States, but for a whole planet, basically. So what Bitcoin introduced, this idea that we could remove that middleman. We can have a money system that's programmed in math and code, and it's done in such a way that everyone can see the code, so there's no tricking anyone. But the code is also not changeable, generally speaking, and so the code is just automated to print out Bitcoins on a schedule, and it's done in a way that suggests we may not need things like the Federal Reserve. That's why it's such a radical idea. Huge radical idea. So how's that so far?
Yeah, it's good. I personally think that we need more people like you as advisors, where we can get, like, John, you know who JF is, right? He's in the gift economy. John Freswell.
I don't recognize the name, but I probably know who he is. Yeah.
Is that Vegan World? Okay, so he's been in the gift economy for 6 years. So he doesn't use money. Like, he doesn't use currency that we use. Yeah. And I like that. And I've been trying to get out of it. And I'm trying to figure out how to do it where I can, like, at first I was like, oh, I'm going to take all my money and put it under the mattress, and I'm going to have all my money in cash. That was my biggest idea ever. And my friend just told me last week, no, you can't do that because your money won't be worth anything at all. All cash will be worth zero. So let me ask you something. Since pretty much nobody knows about this, how do we get ahead of it, to get out of it, to divest, whatever you want to call it, like, get out of it completely, get out of the stocks and whatever you're in and get out of it? What do you do with that money immediately where it's safe? And one of my friends, like, you have to keep it in the internet, because if you keep it in cash, it won't be worth anything. But that's what confuses me, is because a lot of people say don't buy Bitcoin because it's not worth I don't know what to do. That's why I'm trying to.
Let me clarify. I get some of your questions. Let me clarify. So, like, first, let me say that when we're having this conversation, I have these conversations a lot with people. I have helped a lot of people. I've advised and I've spoken in conferences about this. I understand it pretty well. And what I would say is that there's kind of like three categories of the conversation. One is what I was just talking about, like the kind of like the technical side of what blockchain is. And blockchain, Bitcoin introduced the blockchain technology. Now there are thousands of other projects using the same technology, and Bitcoin's just one of them. Okay, so it's first to understand that. So that's one conversation, talking about like the technicals and the significance of that technology. It's on par with the internet itself. It's on par with like the printing press. Like, this is one of those inventions that comes along only every couple hundred years that has really profound implications for society. So that's one conversation. The other conversation is the investing side, meaning like a lot of people have been making a lot of money by investing in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. So there's that conversation, like buying Bitcoin, trading it, investing it, all that stuff. I'm also really into that. I can talk a lot about that. And then also there's the conversation that I love. It's more like just purely philosophical, meaning like what is value itself, and what really is money? How's money in general serving a purpose for humanity? And do we need to get rid of it? Like what's happening there? That conversation, very, very high level philosophical. You could almost even call it psycho-spiritual in my perspective. Like I really go that far. So like, so like what I generally hear in a lot of these conversations lately is like, a lot of us have a love and hate relationship with money, understandably, because the current money system was designed this way. The economic system can be designed. It's not just, doesn't just come in one way, one package. Like the USD economic system was designed this way for a reason, and a lot of us don't like it designed this way, and so we tend to think, well, let's just get rid of the whole thing. Let me just, and so like to answer your question, like there kind of are two. I think there are kind of our two choices right now. Like a lot of people, like if you want to just get out of it, then you can sell everything, sell your car, sell your house, sell your dog, go live in the forest and grow your own corn and never come back. That is an option, and some people are going to do that. That's not me. But that is that, then you would exchange the value units, the everything that USD cash, the house is valuable, everything. You're exchanging value, you're giving it away, and then you're going out into the forest for another kind of value because we value living in nature and living off the land, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Me personally, I see another opportunity, or at least for now, it's a much more dynamic opportunity. But like we don't know where things are going. I personally think we will be here in 5 years. I think we'll be here for decades or centuries more. It may be a long, hard road. That's just my perspective. But also what I see is that there's some incredible things happening in the world right now, and there's a lot of different forces moving around. We don't know where things are going to really land, but I think it's incredibly interesting, and I want to be participating with it. And what I see is that so much, that the fundamental layer of society, of civilization, does rest on the economic level. And so, yeah, by understanding economics, understanding, how it works and what's possible there, I think there could be a lot of solutions. That's kind of like the bedrock of a lot of solutions I think that we can find. So I think it's what I see generally is that we have this, old money system paradigm that's been building up for centuries. And now with what's Bitcoin is introduced and all these decentralized technologies, we have this potentially new money paradigm emerging. And so we don't necessarily know exactly where it's going to land. I'm not necessarily promising that Bitcoin is going to save the world. Quite the contrary, there's some problems with it. But what I will say is that, wherever it ends up in decades from now, for better or for worse, I think it will be better, just what degrees of better it will be. But no matter where it lands, currently, right now, those systems are transitioning. And a lot of people in the old paradigm money system know it. And so you have like, it's kind of like thinking like, it's like, let me draw a metaphor. Like say you have an old computer you've had for 30 years with all this data on it. And then you just got the new computer that's like, so much faster, so much better. Oh my God, it's touch screen. It's just so much easier to use. That other one was so clunky and just wasn't working. Like that's the old money system and the new money system. And now, but the thing is, you have all this data on your old system that you need to get onto the new computer. So you put a wire between them and you start like transferring the data. That's where we're at right now with money, meaning that value, if what I see is like money essentially I see is just money is just a metric of value. That's all it is. And I don't necessarily think that money is the root of all evil. I think the root of evil goes deeper than that. And money just kind of rests on top of that. It can be a tool used for manipulation, but that ultimately a currency or a monetary system is really just measuring the way that we collaborate together. and it's measuring value. It's raising the exchange of value, and it's actually probably it's a very necessary thing if we're going to continue forward as a human species to become something like a super organism of collective intelligence. We're going to need a metric and an accountability system of how we collaborate together efficiently, not just barter. We can't, I don't think, if we go back to barter, that's going to be a big step backwards for us. We need to go forward and still have something like an economic monetary system. So I'm all for it. And I see that also there's an opportunity here that trillions, if not quadrillions, measuring by the US dollar as a unit of metric, there's, trillions, hundreds of trillions, if not quadrillions of value in the old system. Everything from gold and all the global currencies and derivatives and all stocks and bonds, all that kind of stuff. It adds up to this large sum of this thing we call value that's captured in this metric. And it's now moving from one system to the next. And it's happening now. So if you want to participate in that, people just need to decide, do you want to go live in the woods? Fine. Or do you want to participate in that? But if you stay in the middle, that's not the place to be. Participate, decide, go live in the woods or participate with it, because you're going to get left behind. If not, like, there's just a lot of opportunity. That's just my opinion. That's my perspective. So if you want to participate with it, start becoming familiar with what Bitcoin is, with what blockchain is, what the options are. It's not necessarily easy, because in that value transfer, there is the opportunity to capture some of that value, and then especially for people like us who have been in this conversation of human evolution and social change for a long time, can then use some of that value to implement good things in the world. That's what I'm doing. So that's the opportunity I see. Yeah. And I would say, when people are saying that they lost $80,000 in Bitcoin, it does happen. Usually that's the case, that's usually the case that, like right now, when it starts hitting, the price of Bitcoin, hit $40,000 somewhat recently. So it's all over the news. And so then everyone's scrambling to buy Bitcoin, and then the price goes down. Okay. So that's typical pattern that happens, because people are buying when it's already at its hype cycle, so to speak. Or, so if you want to do well in this, there's a few strategies. One is, just start becoming aware of it on a more regular basis. If people have been buying Bitcoin 6 months ago, then they wouldn't have lost $80,000. They would have made well more than $80,000. So if you're buying it when everyone's hyping about it, that's usually, not to say you shouldn't be buying it then, it's just you have to be a lot more careful. So that's why people just aren't aware. But also whoever that guy was, if he lost $80,000, I don't know if he lost it because he lost access to his wallet, or if he bought it high and then sold it low. I don't know if that, so there are pitfalls. It's like, but generally speaking, more people are making money than losing it, because the whole value of Bitcoin is going up. And again, it's not just Bitcoin. There's thousands of other projects capturing that value.
So what are your suggestions? Like, if you were talking to and doing a seminar on vegans who wanted to, if I put together a group of vegans that wanted to have a seminar,
mm-hmm.
If you just gave one piece of advice, just for me personally, I'm just asking you, but
Sure.
You get people to sign up for a seminar that you could hold and just charge people whatever, because there are so many people like me that are stuck we're stuck in the middle.
I'm
Because
considering it again.
this economy, because we don't want to, but we have to, because we don't know what to do. But I don't want to live in the woods right now. I'm not ready to do that. I love living in Los Angeles. I'm about to start giving food to people. I'm very happy where I live because I'm outside almost all the time. So I kind of do live in the woods. I just have to have American dollars, but I'm thinking of more of a universal coin, because I always realize that the problem is we just don't have a universal anything. We don't have a one universal.
Well, we might have it soon, and it might not. The thing is, we might have a universal coin soon. It might be a version of the USD on the blockchain. So that's one possibility.
Okay. So how do we find out and get into that, though? If we want to do that, who do we talk to?
Here's the thing. I have done presentations on this in the past. I think I'm going to do it again. I think I'll probably do like a recorded presentation going into all these questions and those three main topics too. I think it really helps to put this conversation in the context of a larger time frame of history, where we've come from in our relationship with money and value that goes way, 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 way back, and the turns we've come along the way, and really where we could be going with this, and what really is value in like a philosophical and even
I just think that
cosmological
it goes
context.
along with
It helps. It does go along. I see it very clearly. I can lay it all out. So I'm gonna gear up and do that again, and probably make a video recording, and then can share it with people. But just besides that, said simply, what I advise to people is, one, go get a Coinbase.com account. Go to Coinbase.com and get an account. Right. Step two, you got to get that set up. Just get it set up like you set up any other account on the internet, right? It's
Okay,
kind of
so
like PayPal.
you're saying that there's a website called Coinbase.com?
Coinbase.com.
Oh, but not with a D, not past tense. Coinbase.
Just Coinbase, BASE.com.
Not with a D on the end. Okay, Coinbase.
No, Coinbase.
Oh, and how did you find out about Coinbase? I mean, you're obviously in some totally different.
I found out 2014, just go to Coinbase.com.
Okay.
This is the simple steps. Go to Coinbase.com, get an account. Step two, whatever amount of money of USD you want to invest in cryptocurrencies, move it to that account, right? Step three, get on Google and research something called dollar cost averaging. And then do that. So basically what dollar cost averaging is that you're spending little amounts every once in a while, every week, every month, or like that. And then because if Bitcoin's going up and down, you're going to do better. You're going to be buying. You're going to kind of get an average of the prices, and then just hold on to it. Don't worry about selling it in a month. And if the price goes down, don't sell it then. Just hold on to it for a couple years, and don't invest more than you could afford to lose. Unless, if that's the simple answer. Unless if you want to really get into this, then get into it. Start spending hours watching YouTube and really understanding what this is. And then you can start making more dynamic decisions with how you're investing. But most people make the mistake if they're losing $80,000 because they sold their house and bought Bitcoin at the top of a peak, and then it went down 80%, because they didn't do their research. And that's what happens. So either get into it and really understand it first, or do the simple thing, dollar cost averaging, and just be prepared to hold on to it for years. Of course, this is not financial advice. I'm not a legal representative, but this is just my opinion on what to do. Yeah. And, get into it a bit, because that's just the investing side. When you really understand that there's other things happening out there too, that this technology is being used for new forms of governance, and that it promises, having democratic systems in a way we haven't had before in human history. And it changes law, and it's just some really, really interesting things happening there. Even art, the art space is being changed with it right now in really interesting ways. And as you get into it, you just start thinking differently. It's just like, this is on par with the internet. It's on par with the printing press. This is it's going to change things a lot. And it's especially interesting right now because the mainstream is getting into it, and the big hedge funds and the central banks are getting into it. They're starting to sell their gold and buy Bitcoin right now. Yes, they are. They now know. They've been waiting for years to see if this Bitcoin thing really going to stick around. And now they all know this is here to stay. And Bitcoin is actually a really good store of value. And they're billions and billions of dollars are being put into Bitcoin in the last several months. And it's just beginning. So the governments know about this, the central banks know about this, and they've got their plans. They've got plans, and they know what they're doing. So my advice is that, whatever you've got a little bit of money, just get a little Bitcoin at least. Get a little bit, if not a lot. And Ethereum. And other things. Yeah. So I hope that helps.
It does. Can I ask you another question that's not really related to Bitcoin?
Sure.
You think that we're going to have this future that I wish that we didn't, but whatever. I'm just the kind of person where I'm just like, gosh, I can't wait till Vegan World 2026. And if the humans have to go, then I'm just all for it. I just really think that humans have got to leave this planet, because that's the reason why everything is ruined completely, because of people like us in the past, what we did to it. It's just awful. But I don't feel like, I don't want to be here past 2026 personally myself. That's going to suck, but whatever. But I wanted to know, what do you think is going to happen then in the next 3 or 4 years during this big climate crisis, which isn't going away? Everything's burning and it's getting hotter, and we are in a water crisis, but people are not waking up. It's like with vegan stuff, you're like, oh, this is going to help the planet and everything. With the Bitcoin, you're like, yeah, it's in the, but how are we even going to get to that point when everything is literally just, Mother Nature is really just, everything is being destroyed. All the wildlife, the Arctic is melting. So when we switch over to this Bitcoin thing, what do we even need to buy? There's not going to be anything.
Yeah. Well, let me clarify. I'm not saying that Bitcoin is going to save the planet.
I never said that. I'm just saying that.
Yeah.
We're not even going to need money anyway, because there's not going to be anything to buy. Everything's closed.
I'm not sure. The thing is that I don't rest on the assumption that we're done. I mean, my answer is this: I know we're in trouble. I know that things will probably I think that things are going to get much worse before they get better. But I also know that especially the human species has demonstrated again and again for millions of years that we're a really adaptable species. So one way it could turn out is that things will get worse environmentally, and that we'll adapt a lot. It's going to look really amazing. It's going to look like some weird sci-fi dystopian future. It might just be. That could happen. And then maybe we'll stay there for centuries. And then in centuries from now, some of the seeds that some of us are planting today will come to fruition. That's one possibility, I think. So that gives, that sounds a little bit dire, and but that's kind of what I've come to accept as a possibility. And it doesn't really bother me too much, because I'm just like, again, like, they're I just think that way. I just think longer term. I think like, well, I can still like, I put it in a really big context that even outside of this life and outside of what's happening on Earth right now, what are we even doing here? Period. What is consciousness? How did I manifest in this body for this short amount of time? And what's really important? I'm not going to get distracted by what Trump is doing at all. I'm not going to get distracted by the environment too much, because I really can't control it. Realize what we can control in life and what we cannot control. I can't save the environment. I already tried. I was an activist for years. I went to graduate school for this stuff, and there's only so much we can change. So like, what is it really what is it we are meant to hear as human souls? What is it your soul is wanting to experience during this lifetime? We chose to come here during this century. This is an opportunity for growth in that way. So what do we need to do as individuals, and then just do that, and that everything else is going to work out. That's the way I put it.
I think if we could all live like where BJ and I were talking the other day with Danny, if we could kind of live like closer in a more like a vegan community, like a vegan commune type thing, it would probably be a lot better, because it's very difficult to live with COVIDs and pre-vegans and all the people that are destroying the planet around you that you're trying to fix. But I think you're right. We are here for a purpose, but to me, I don't think that we need to be here, and I'm fine with we're not here. And there's this guy that came on to Vegan World 2026 and spoke, and I really connected with him, but I don't know how to get in touch with him, because he gave his Twitter feed, but he has no other social media. He just has Twitter and that's it. And he's off the grid, except for Twitter. And he said people are talking to their kids all the time about future and this, that. And he was like, future? He's like, what future? Why do people keep talking to their kids about future? What future? You're going to be here. And I really like that realistic view, because unless people change like immediately, we just don't have much time left. I don't believe that we will be here past like really 5 more years. I don't think that humans will be here. If we are, it will be very different. It will be like the
that's what I see happening. I think
movie, like Apocalypse.
yeah, it could look like that, but then we would still be here. That's the thing. We would
But
still
why
be
do
here.
you want to stay?
And then maybe
When all this
decades
is-
or centuries, come by, and because like, think of this too. In 100 years from now, no matter what, 100 years from now, all the people that are here now won't be here. Like every 100 years, everyone dies off, and it's new people. And like we have the new generation coming here right now. The kids that are like 11 or 12 years old right now, they've grown up with iPhones. They've grown up with mobile phones and internet. It's like normal to them. It's normal to them. All this stuff is normal. And so maybe it won't be so shocking to them. I just, yeah. I think that, we chose to be here for a reason. So try not to react to it, and just, what am I here to do? And we'll see what happens. And also I just I do a lot of research all over the place. I'm a vegan, by the way, too. I turned over about a year ago. I completely went 100% vegan, and I feel great about it. I just do a lot of research too. I'm always keeping up to track. I think too, like, we may surprise ourselves too. We were speaking earlier about collective intelligence. I don't know if you got that or not, but like for me, that's kind of the whole point, is that this is what I see wants to happen on planet Earth. It's not even just about us. It's that you have a planet that's, hundreds of millions of years old or billions of years old, and it's been evolving over time. It's still changing and evolving. And, what does it look like that a planet evolves? Like, what is it? Does it stop evolving? Does things stop? No, it's continuing evolving. Maybe human beings are just one phase of this evolution, but a really significant phase. I have a lot of compassion for us, actually. We're a very young species. How did we get here? I don't think there's something inherently wrong with human beings. We tend to really beat ourselves up a lot. Like what we did to the planet. It's just like, well, if you kind of look at the way we've stepped through history, each step just made sense along the way. We've just been like this little baby species, let's go back, go back 20,000 years, right before agriculture happened. We tend to have this fantasy that things were easier then or something. Like we were living to like 25 or 30 years old. That was our lifespan, very short lifespans, 25, 30 years old, living in the cold, running around just scrapping for food. We weren't writing poetry. We weren't watching YouTube. We weren't making music. We were just trying to survive, right? And then along, someone invented a way to gather seeds and then scrape on the ground and plant it. And then we started, like, this was the invention of agriculture. It was a huge boon for us. Like, wow, we can just sit in one spot now and we can kind of manage the environment. We can participate with the ecology and grow food. And then also we started having more time, and we started, like, inventing things like language and books and things like this. And this is how society started, from that simple turning point. But then the turning points just kept happening all the way up. Like, was it a mistake to have agriculture? Because it's like, because I think like that we had to have agriculture in order to move into larger groups to stay in one spot. And then, we had more time. And so then, the shoemaker came along, and like the chef came along, and the bread maker came along, and all this specialization. And so we started having this society, and, that's what we've built up on. And that allowed us to start gathering in larger and larger groups, which are now like, we're in these like major cities. Now we have a population of 8 billion people on the planet. Maybe it was in the design of the planet to grow the human species like neurons of a brain. We're like this, look at us. Bears don't make paintings. Bears don't make concerto orchestrations. Like the human species is enormously creative. There's nothing else like the human species on the planet. And yes, we've been somewhat destructive, but we're also like incredibly creative in the things we do, you know, that deer and squirrels don't do. Not saying there's anything wrong with them, but it's like, how do we even get this ability to do this? Doesn't it have was that a mistake too? You know, is this faculty of human ingenuity and creativity is a mistake somehow? Or does it have some higher purpose in the evolution of the planet, of Gaia, of this thing? You know, and so that's why I try to like maybe extrapolate that out and think that we're still fulfilling that. And yes, we've been making a mess. You know, one theory I have, I call it the Gaia hypothesis, is that way before human beings were even on the map, like back before the dinosaurs, Gaia, as an intelligent, unified ecological system, was being struck by asteroids every few thousand years, or every 10,000, 100,000 years. Huge asteroid would come in and go boom and like wipe things out. This is not human beings. This is asteroids. This is just a planet being in the universe. This is just the natural environment. It tends to be somewhat violent. There's things flying around in space. Planets get hit. It just happens. So this happened again and again and again. And one of the last times this happened was, 60 million years ago. The dinosaurs had been existing for billions of years, just teeming with life. And all of a sudden, one day, a big asteroid comes along and boom, that was the end. Oh my God. The end of an entire era. And so if Gaia, the living intelligent ecosystem of Earth, has any kind of a memory or an intelligence itself, maybe it was like, you know what? We got to do something about this asteroid thing, because this keeps messing up my game. And so along comes the human species, right? And it took us a long time to get here. It took us thousands and thousands and thousands of years to invent language and develop these kind of minds that can think this way and create the internet and all that. And here's the things, like as of just like a year or two ago, we now have a satellite orbiting out there in the solar system that has artificial intelligence on it that's automatically tracking all of the asteroids and sending up alerts anytime we think there might be an asteroid coming close to Earth. Maybe this was it. Maybe all this oil burning and central bank doing and all this stuff was kind of like necessary to quickly, very rapidly bootstrap, before the asteroid comes, a system in place to protect Mother Gaia and her life now and all future life from this happening. Maybe that was it. And now that we've just achieved this, we've basically just achieved this. We still got to like maybe another 10 years or so until we'll perfect this asteroid protection system. Once, in some sense, like maybe once that gets fully realized, and that along with a lot of other technologies like green energy and all this kind of stuff, that we will hit some kind of plateau and realize, wow, we lived through this really dark, hard story to get here really quickly, and we'll realize what we did, and then we can clean it up. We can go, oh, well, we were in this rapid phase of quickly burgeoning up like a global mind to realize this as part of a living organism of Gaia. And now let's clean up the laboratory. Maybe that'll happen. That's one way of looking at it. And not be so hard on ourselves. Maybe. Now, with that said, too, I think that, yeah, there's another level to the conversation, too. I think that there are what I would call, unseen forces on the planet. This kind of gets into a little bit of a woo-woo psychosomatic, psychocosmological thing, but I think that like there's more going on here on planet Earth than what we realize, and that there are forces that want to test us as souls, and that's part of the game. That's also part of why we're here. We chose exactly this as souls, to be here to challenge ourselves in a really amazing way, and that it's a big game, and that yeah, that's part of it too. How's that, Sarah?
That was really good. I got some good notes too.
Good,
So
good.
All right, yeah. I don't know if you can see my page because I have a background or whatever, but I have this like notepad.
Yeah.
I guess it goes.
Yeah, I
in
see
with-
grass.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, no, thank you. I think definitely we're very, we're not even anywhere near evolved at all. And that's why I think people are so, oh, well, yeah, like, they're just so ignorant and uneducated. They just don't even pay attention. So when people say life passes them by, it really does pass most people by, because most people just can't even experience any life at all because they're brainwashed to the television and they just can't even get out of their own. It's basically all about the matrix, if you want to take the blue pill or the red pill. So do you want to be in the matrix, or do you want to try to, stop that destruction? But yeah, I think that what you're saying is good. I mean, I think everybody should go back to ahimsa, and especially all the people that do yoga, and they shouldn't even think about anything else except for nonviolence. And then once they can achieve that, then they should be able to teach yoga. But they should practice nonviolence in every aspect of their life before that they're even allowed to teach and say and get certified, because ahimsa is all about nonviolence. And everything is about violence to animals. But I think the one thing I would definitely caveat and kind of sway towards is more like everything, we are evolving. However, we need to make better decisions on our evolution, or we're not going to be living. So whatever
Yeah.
our species does make decisions. We do know between right and wrong. We do know cognitive dissonance. We know all of these things. We are aware. Most people, unless you're special needs and you've got some type of mental problem, people are aware. If they walk across the street and they don't look both ways, they probably might be getting hit by a car. But that same analogy needs to be made about what they eat, because everything that you do and every decision that you make affects every single person. And it's like a domino effect, but that's what people aren't getting. They're not getting that when they buy something with palm oil in it, it's wiping out baby orangutans in Cambodia who were kidnapped and taken over the border, that kind of stuff. People don't even conceptualize because they read and believe what they believe on labels of food. So we have to get to the point where we can actually help people get into that space that they need to be into and come accept and learn acceptance. And once they learn that peaceful acceptance, and that's why I think then they start living that what they're really supposed to do. Like in the Garden of Eden, they were fine. But once they had the temptation and they did bad stuff, then bad things happen, I guess. I don't know. I've went to graduate school to read the Bible, but I didn't read the Christian Bible. I read the Hebrew Bible in Hebrew, tried to read the Christian Bible in Greek. But people are so stuck on their stuff. It's hard for them to let go because they were starting to evolve, but then religion clung to them, or something got to them. So what do you think about that in the human realm of decision making? Why does some person decide they're going to stop being violent, and why does some person?
Yeah. So I don't know if you were here earlier. I was mentioning spirodynamics. Did you hear me talking about that? Spirodynamics. Like that's a model I prescribe to. I hear a lot of talk recently about like, why can't everyone just do what I'm doing? Why can't everyone eat the way I eat or think the way I think, and then we all get along? They're saying the same thing. Why can't you just do what they're eating? And so we can't expect people to have the same values. I think that people have different values, and for whatever reasons, whether they're indoctrinated or whether they've just grown up in a culture that's already existed for 500 years, and it's just like it's so ingrained in their DNA that we can't expect them to necessarily change a whole lot. Though we can, hopefully we can change some of it. That all of us can have more compassion and understanding for each other. I just keep coming back again and again to collective intelligence. And that I think that's, again, getting back to my Gaia hypothesis, I think that's what's happening here. I think that the human species is meant to become something like a superorganism on planet Earth. And that we can still maintain our individual identities and our individual value systems, but we'll operate together at a much higher level of coordination. And so I think like that's why I just keep focusing on. Let's just focus on that. Then. Let's just keep focusing on that, because if we can get that, or at least improve that, I think other problems we have will tend to get solved better. Yeah, that's what I think. I had another point too, but I just think that spiral dynamics again. It's just like I think we have different types of human beings on the planet, and we can't expect us all to become the same. And so it's just, let's drop that and just focus on how to coordinate together with how to become unified in our diversity. Let's not forget the diversity. And that the benefit of having diversity is great. Go out into the forest. It's tremendously diverse. It's not just, you go to the forest, it's not just all made of squirrels. It's not just trees aren't made of squirrels. Trees are trees, squirrels are squirrels, ferns are ferns, So I think the human species is like that. And, speaking specifically, around collective intelligence, even there, I think there's different methods towards guarding collective intelligence. There's different results you can get. So I think by studying that and just experimenting with it and keep pushing it forward, I think that's the best thing we can do. There was still some other thought, something I was going to respond to that you said. I don't remember what it was now. Yeah, I don't remember. Well, I think that too, that yeah, a lot of people haven't taken the red pill. And again, I don't know if we can expect them to either. I think it's just too hard for them. You can't send a third grader to graduate school. It just won't work. They have to build up to it. So there's many of the human beings on the planet are just at a different stage, both cognitively and spiritually in their evolution. And you can't force that. As much as we want to force it, it won't work to force it. You can't force a 3-year-old to go to graduate school and get a PhD. It's not ready for it. So the best thing we can do is just model it, and maybe they'll get it. And that I think, when we think about if a vast majority of the human population is not woke, I tend to think of that in the way that if we take the sum total of all human beings, we already are something like a superorganism. It's just that we're evolving as a superorganism. We're already a collective that kind of has a mind of its own, but it's a very different mind. It's like an animal mind. As a collective, we're like an animal, just like animals out in the forest. Go out and tell if a bear is hungry in the forest, he's gonna eat you, and you can tell him all about veganism and all our philosophy, but he's an animal, and he's going to respond to his animal instincts and eat if he needs to eat. And I think that the collective of the human species is still like that as a collective, that a vast majority of us are still like kind of in a shadow state, and that we're going to operate like an animal and just respond to immediate needs. It's just the way it is right now. And so how do you train an animal? Gradually, gradually train that animal to become docile and more intelligent. And again, that's why I think that systems like that, that's why I focus a lot on economics and decentralized technology, because in my mind, economics is the foundation of a collective intelligence. It's how, like, when you have money systems and currencies and all this, if you design it the right way, you can incentivize people and motivate people to behave in certain ways based on those systems, because they're just going to respond to those rules. And so again, that's why I think our best chance is to focus on some of these technologies combined with other elements, and then we might have a chance to design a new game system. And you know what, this might already be being done too, because like I do a lot of research on this, and I'm telling you again, like the governments already know this is happening. The central banks already know this is happening. And of course they want to keep on top of it. They want to keep as much power and control as they can and preserve their wealth as much as they can. They're going to respond that way. But at the same time, I don't know for sure. It's hard to know for sure, but it's like, when George Bush first got up on his podium a couple of decades ago and he announced the New World Order right there on live TV for everyone, he had a bit of a smile on his face. I think, from his perspective, it's a good thing. I don't think that they all are I don't think they're all sociopaths. There's definitely sociopaths out there. But I think that a lot of them kind of just have their own narrative and their own frame that bringing the population under some kind of control is a good thing for everyone. I think that's the way they're thinking. And so they are right now for sure, and they have done for a while. They are planning a new economic system for the world, and they will probably implement it very well. I don't know how it's going to turn out, but again, I think that's why it's really important to be focusing on that and have as much influence in that as we can. Because that's been the thing. The economic system has been the thing that has been holding us back this whole time. We have all these great ideas, food trucks and all this, but you got to have cash. I can tell my landlord that I don't want to pay rent for 6 months because I'm going to make a free food truck. Is she going to care? I mean, she's like, well, you still got to pay your rent. So it's like this self-enforcing system. The economic system, it just has a way of self-enforcing itself, that the game rules tend to stick for a long time. And now the game rules are changing. I don't know how it's going to be exactly. It's changing in real time. And so that's why I think it's a great place to participate and become knowledgeable. If we want to change the game, we better know what the game rules are, and we better know how they're being changed right now. So with that said, I'm going to get, I've been on for a couple hours now. I've got a little bit of a headache. I'm going to go take a walk outside.
Thank you for everything. You've been really amazing. I appreciate you so much.
You're welcome, Sarah. I appreciate you. Like you, what Jamin said, you raised $5,000 like really quickly, and now you're doing the project down there.
I had lunch with a friend, and I was just saying, hey, could you help me make this stew? And I need to go to Costco. I don't have a Costco membership because I don't believe in bulk buying. I don't usually go to any grocery store. And so whatever. And then my friend wrote me a check, and I have it right here, but you can't see it on the green. Yeah, my friend wrote me a check. It's blank. And then I wrote in food for food healers. And then I got to talk to Jamin and Dr. Rao about setting up an account so that we can get this started, so that we can get it going. Yeah. So it's basically, look, I just need to go to the grocery store and get the stuff. So I'm going to get off too, because I'm going to make a test batch.
Yeah.
And I want to go ahead and just make it so I can say, hey, here's the stew. Look, it looks amazing. Yeah. Even though I don't eat any of the stuff in the stew mostly, it's like I'm on Dr. Sabi, but whatever. Mm-hmm. I don't eat onion, so there's onion in it and all the stuff. So the good thing is that I won't be like eating all the stew. It'll be definitely me just maybe taking a couple bites of it, but I won't be like chowing down on the stew. This is good. I won't be eating all my own creations. Anyway, so I'm happy to do it, and I'm sure that it's gonna be a lot of people helping and doing it. But I'll see you back on here in a little bit. Yeah,
great, fantastic talking with you. And
thank
I'm
you
so excited about what you're doing with that stew. That's great.
I'm just excited about how smart you are.
I'm excited about how active you are, getting it done, getting real things done. Real food for real people. That's awesome.
I'm excited to listen to you both.
Yeah. Thanks, Christopher. Thanks for holding space. I appreciate you holding space.
Where do you live, Christopher?
I'm currently in Niagara Falls. The electricity in the air here is for real. It's amazing.
Yeah, I bet it's incredible. Yeah. I'm sure that you have a lot of pure air.
Oh, yeah, totally. I can hear, if I open the window here, I can hear the falls in the distance, actually.
Wow.
I'm just like a 20-minute walk away. And it's
Wow.
weird,
Amazing.
I got invited to dinner with a tribal chief, and he said that the tribes around here actually consider this the heart of Turtle Island, so of the North American continent. It's like one of the chakras. I thought that was interesting because, you know, the white man has dammed up the potential energy here of the water flow, and we've created, you know, hydroelectric power to power the civilization that we've been talking about for the past few hours here. And there is this other sort of ethereal electricity in the air here. You know, everybody comes here as a honeymoon vacation spot. I don't know. It's definitely got some magic to
Right.
it. I'm trying to figure it
Nice.
out.
There's a book I just read that my vegan vet gave me to read, and it's all about electricity.
Very cool.
Nice.
What kind of electricity?
I don't even know. I only read like a little bit of it. It seemed like it was a little bit more something that I wasn't sure that I really wanted to read.
Interesting.
It didn't seem to me, I like to read 100% nonfiction, and I just like to go straight to like the text and like try to like decode it.
Right.
I don't want to read something and then not know what they were actually saying, trying to read into it. I just want to know, what the F are you trying to tell me in this book? I don't have time to try to go in a book club and discuss it. I just need to know what the F is going on. So I felt like it didn't, at first it caught my attention, but then I was like, this is all the stuff I already know about electricity. Tell me something different. That's what I got from it.
Interesting.
Yeah,
What-
because I feel like it was going to the electricity of like what people were talking about. That's all these grids that people are not paying attention to. And then people say it's conspiracy theory, the 5G conspiracy theory thing. Everybody says that's conspiracy theory. I don't know if it is or not. I'm not on 5G. I'm on 4G. So then I don't even have to worry about it. But then people are like, it's 5Gs everywhere. It's just, it's in schools, it's buildings, it's making people's memory go away. And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. I don't know about that. I just know that I want to read about, if somebody tells me 5G is dangerous, then I'm like, give me a book on 5G. But don't give me the book on the conspiracy theorists who wrote about 5G. Give me the book on actually what is 5G?
There
Like,
you go.
what is the actual definition in the scientific version in the equation? Like when I was asking him, what is Bitcoin? Is it a bit of a coin? I mean, how did they come up with the name? Is it like a piece of a coin that someone bit into and they're like, I'm going to call it Bitcoin? Or they're like, oh, this is a coin and it's a little bit like money, so we'll call it Bitcoin. I don't know. I'm always trying to figure out the language behind everything, because that's what I went to graduate school about for. So I was trying to find out, like, why do people eat animals? What is the language that they were told to do that? Where is it that some decree was, you shall eat meat? There is no place ever that says that you should eat animals, ever. So you have to like just talk to people about that. But most of the time I don't want to talk to anybody, or especially people that are not vegan. I haven't been wanting to talk to very many pre-vegans, just because I just don't even want to talk to them. Because then I just get, you know, like I can show them and get them to go vegan quick, but I don't want to really talk to them about life, because we just mostly don't have anything in common. Usually if someone's not vegan already, I don't have anything in common with them except for the commonalities I had when I was a meat eater. But I gave up most of those behaviors because that's what meat eaters do. See what I'm saying? So everything goes back to behavior and how you're indoctrinated, really, because everybody clings to their religion. And I think that that's the really biggest downfall of everything, is the religion, because religion makes people do terrible things, and it makes people do things in the name of religion, and then they claim religion when they're doing all the copper road in New York, and all the Hasidic Jews claim religion when they're killing any animal. Anybody claiming everything is about religion. Like Dr. Rao said, in India, they gave clarified butter. When you have a little bit of extra money, you get clarified butter. That's a practice. And then, like, Michael said, it goes back to money. Religion and money is connected all the way. And most people don't want to deal with it because most people, unfortunately, are religious. And they don't, even in like Jane is religious a little bit because she's in the program where she talks about like she's been sober for 25 years. And even though she's vegan, she's a recovering alcoholic. And when she goes on and tells people about that stuff, she does say that she surrendered to a higher power. Most of the time, people in jail when they become religious is because they read the Bible in jail, right? Why can't they read something else in jail that would educate them besides the Bible? What could we maybe do to get books in jail that would be better than, and then they come out and say, well, I surrendered to God and blah, 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 imaginary person healed them or whatever. And I guess it's whatever it takes to make people believe and have faith. But I don't believe in that kind of stuff, but I feel like that holds people back from evolving. I think that the reason why we're not evolved is because religion is holding us back from, because we still have they still say one nation under God in the Pledge of Allegiance. When they took their oath, I thought about that the other day when they were in the Congress taking their oath, when they got sworn in. And I would never put my hand on the Bible. I would be like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. But people won't even stand up to that. They're afraid that they're going to stand out. But I was thinking about, oh, I should run for politics. But then if I have to get up there and I'm not going to do that. But then what are they going to do? They're going to say that I'm going against the Constitution, or what are they going to say? But it's supposed to be separation of church and state, and it's not. And that's a really big problem because our political system is completely corrupted with religion. 21 million evangelical Christians in our country still believe that President Trump is the president. And they're not going away. And I don't know why people keep discounting 74 million people that voted for Donald Trump. They need to be educated into going vegan and whatever they're clinging to, go back and show them in their Bible that they believe in so well. Hey, here's what your Bible says. It does not say to kill. It says this. So I feel like it all has to go back to educating people within like we talked about, in their own individual communities where they live, because their communities are communities of culture, religion, tradition, and it's all just, it's a cycle of it, and it keeps happening.
Yeah, it's called conditioning in general. All these things are, whatever our family household was like when we were growing
up. It's called conformism.
Well, conditioning in general, meaning when something's conditioned, like remember Pavlov's dog, remember the spirit, like we're all prone to conditioning. However we grew up, all of us, however we grew up, we tend to stay that way, So.
Well, I'm glad you think.
Hey, I got to jump off. I got to get out. I got to get outside.
Right,
so lovely talking with you.
Yeah, I think we'll
see you guys later.
Back at 5.
Okay. Adios.